Welcome to a realm where the impossible becomes the baseline, and where one name has redefined the very architecture of global superstardom. Have you ever looked at a music chart and wondered if the numbers were even real, or if we are simply witnessing a once-in-a-century anomaly that defies every logic of the music industry? Today, we are diving deep into the phenomenon of a man who didn't just climb the ladder, but decided to build an entire skyscraper of his own, leaving legends and icons in his wake. We're talking about Jungkook, the golden maknae, who evolved from a shy boy in Busan into a global titan, whose reach spans from the FIFA World Cup stages to the very top of the Billboard Hot 100. But what exactly makes his achievements so untouchable? Is it just the power of a massive fandom, or is there something more, a combination of timing, raw talent, and a charisma that captures the zeitgeist of an entire generation? We often hear about records being broken, but some records aren't just milestones. They are walls so high that no one else can even see the top. As we peel back the layers of his career, from his solo debut that shook the foundations of streaming services to his historic presence on the world's biggest stages, we have to ask ourselves, are we watching a career that can ever be replicated? Or has the ceiling been permanently sealed? Could there ever be another artist who dominates the digital era with such ferocity that even the algorithms seem to bow down? Prepare yourselves, because what you're about to hear isn't just a list of stats, it's a chronicle of a legacy that feels more like a legend written in the stars. Are you ready to witness the moments that changed music history forever? Can you even imagine the sheer weight of a crown that only one person is destined to wear? Let's begin this journey into the extraordinary, where every decimal point tells a story of sweat, tears, and a level of perfectionism that borders on the divine. What does it truly take to become the main pop boy of a new era? And is it possible that we are currently living through a peak that will never be reached again by anyone else? Stay tuned, because these 5 impossible records aren't just numbers, they are a testament to a journey that turned a dream into an eternal reality. Number 5. The billion stream sprint. The digital lightning, a global standard. Imagine the atmosphere on the 14th of July, 2023, a date that will forever be etched in the archives of music history, as the moment the golden maknae didn't just step onto the solo stage, but absolutely shattered the floor beneath it. For years, the world knew him as the powerhouse vocalist of BTS, the shy boy from Busan, who grew up under the blinding lights of global fame. But when he dropped his solo debut single 7, we weren't just witnessing a song release. We were witnessing a tectonic shift in the landscape of the digital era. Now, let's talk about a record that feels like it was written in the stars and fueled by a level of momentum that honestly feels supernatural. Jungkook became the fastest artist in history to surpass 1 billion streams on Spotify with a single track, achieving this gargantuan feat in just 108 days. To put that into perspective, you have to realize the caliber of legends he left in his wake. We are talking about surpassing Miley Cyrus's Flowers, which held the record at 112 days, and even icons like Harry Styles and Justin Bieber. Think about the sheer mathematics of that for a second. To hit 1 billion in 108 days, 7 had to be played nearly 10 million times every single day, without fail, across every time zone, every continent, and every culture. It wasn't just a K-pop record. It was a total pop culture takeover that erased the lines between East and West, proving that Jungkook had become the main pop boy the world had been waiting for. The song itself, a catchy UK garage-inspired track featuring Latto, didn't just trend, it became the heartbeat of the summer, with its Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday hook echoing from the streets of Seoul to the clubs of New York and the cafes of London. But why does this record feel impossible to break? Because we are living in a time where the music industry is more fragmented than ever before, with thousands of songs being uploaded every hour and attention spans shortening by the second. For a single artist to command the undivided attention of the global population for over 100 days straight, maintaining a streaming velocity that stays at a fever pitch, is a miracle of marketing, talent, and raw charisma. Every time you think someone might get close, you realize that Jungkook wasn't just riding a wave, he was the ocean. Behind this record lies the sweat and tears of a man who spent countless hours in the studio perfecting every ad-lib, every breath, and every note to ensure that his debut wasn't just good, but legendary. It was a moment of deep reflection for fans who had seen him grow from a 15-year-old trainee into a man who could command the world's biggest streaming platform with a single click. The emotional weight of this achievement is heavy. It's the sound of millions of people finding a common language in his voice. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to have the weight of 1 billion ears listening to your every word? How does an artist even begin to process the fact that their voice has been streamed more times than there are people in most countries, all within the span of a few months? This isn't just a number on a chart, it's a monument to a global connection that defies logic. As the digital landscape continues to change and platforms adjust their algorithms, the 108-day sprint stands as a towering wall, a golden standard that looks down upon the industry, daring anyone to try and run that fast again. It's a record that feels safe because it required a perfect storm of a global superstar at his peak, a song that defined a season, and a fandom that moves like a single, unstoppable organism. Could anyone ever replicate that lightning in a bottle moment? Could another soloist, without the decades of history and the massive emotional equity Jungkook has built, ever hope to touch 1 billion this quickly? It seems more like a myth than a reality. Yet the data is right there, staring us in the face. This is the power of jeon Jungkook, a man who takes the impossible and makes it his daily routine. As we look back at this historic run, we have to ask, was this just the beginning of a new era? Or did Jungkook set the bar so high that he's the only one who can ever reach it? The 7 era wasn't just about a song. It was about the coronation of a king who doesn't just break records, he makes them look like child's play. And if this is just number 5 on our list, can you even begin to imagine the scale of the records that are still to come? Are you ready to see how he went even further beyond the limits of human achievement? Number 4. The global anthem, The Desert Miracle, A Night Beyond Time. Picture this. The year is 2022, and the eyes of the entire world, over 5 billion people, are fixed on a single patch of grass in the middle of the Qatari desert, specifically at the Al Bayt Stadium, a structure designed like a traditional nomadic tent, symbolizing a gathering of the global tribe. The air is thick with anticipation, not just for the football, but for a moment of cultural history that many thought would never happen in our lifetime. As the lights dimmed and the legendary Morgan Freeman's voice resonated through the stadium, a hush fell over the crowd, and then, from the shadows, stepped a young man whose journey had led him from a small studio in Seoul to the absolute pinnacle of human viewership. This was jeon Jungkook, and the record we are discussing isn't just a number on a chart. It is the impossible feat of being the first Asian artist in history to perform a solo official soundtrack at the FIFA World Cup opening ceremony, being a milestone so massive it practically reset the boundaries of what a K-pop artist or any Asian artist could achieve on the world stage. For decades, the World Cup anthem had been the playground of Western legends. Think Ricky Martin's The Cup of Life in 1998 or Shakira's Waka Waka in 2010, but in 2022, the world didn't look to Hollywood or London. They looked to Jungkook. When the first beats of Dreamers began to pulse through the speakers, it wasn't just a song playing, it was the sound of a cultural revolution. Jungkook stood there, clad in a shimmering black jacket that caught every stray beam of light, surrounded by over 900 backup dancers. And for those few minutes, he wasn't just a member of a group, he was the singular focus of the planet. But let's look closer at why this record is considered unbreakable. Before Jungkook, no South Korean artist had ever been invited to headline such an event solo. The pressure was unimaginable, the weight of his nation, the expectations of the BTS army, and the scrutiny of a global audience who might not have even known what K-pop was. Yet, he performed with a level of grace and vocal stability that felt almost divine, his voice soaring over the stadium as he sang, "Look who we are the dreamers, we make it happen, 'cause we believe it." The lyrics weren't just catchy, they were a reflection of his own life, a boy who dreamt of being a star and ended up becoming a beacon for billions. The statistical impact was just as staggering. Dreamers became the fastest FIFA World Cup song to hit #1 on the iTunes Top Songs chart in the United States, reaching the top in just 2 hours and 11 minutes. But it didn't stop there. Within 13 hours, the track had conquered the #1 spot in 102 different regions, including the world's 8 biggest music markets. This level of immediate global saturation is something that even the biggest Western pop stars struggle to achieve with years of promotion, yet Jungkook did it with a single performance. The official music video and the live performance video on YouTube shattered records for views, with the live performance surpassing 100 million views faster than any live performance by an Asian solo singer in history. Think about the cultural diplomacy involved here. Qatar turned its most iconic landmarks purple to honor his arrival, and for the first time, a K-pop artist was treated not just as a musical guest, but as a visiting head of state for the arts. This moment was a bridge between the East and the Middle East, a fusion of cultures that saw Jungkook, joined by Qatari singer Fahad Al-Kubaisi, creating a visual and auditory symbol of unity that resonated far beyond the stadium walls. Critics and fans alike were left wondering, how can anyone top this? To perform at a World Cup is rare, but to debut a solo career with a World Cup anthem that dominates every digital metric across every continent is a feat of impossible proportions. It required a specific alignment of global fame, undeniable talent, and a charisma that transcends language barriers. When you look at the landscape of music today, who else possesses that specific X factor to command 5 billion people at once? The record of being the first is permanent, but the record of the impact is what makes it truly untouchable. Every time we hear Dreamers now, we aren't just hearing a football song. We are hearing the heartbeat of a man who proved that the world is indeed a tent we all live in, and that music is the language that keeps it standing. This wasn't just a performance, it was a coronation, a moment where Jungkook proved that the golden title wasn't just a nickname, it was a prophecy fulfilled. Can you feel the echoes of that night even now? Do you realize that we might wait another century before an Asian soloist is given the keys to the world's most watched stage again? This is the definition of a legacy that will never fade, a record etched in the sands of time and the data of 1 billion streams. And as we move forward, the question remains. If this was the impact of a single performance in the desert, what happens when he decides to conquer the rest of the world's impossible peaks? We are only at number 4, and already the air is getting thin at this altitude of success. Are you ready to climb even higher to see what lies at the very top? Number 3. The Triple Crown Sovereign. The Billboard chart dictator. A history written in gold. Close your eyes and try to imagine the sheer weight of expectation resting on the shoulders of one man as the clock struck midnight on a Monday in July 2023. We aren't just talking about the release of a song. We are talking about a moment where the entire music industry held its breath to see if a single individual could actually dismantle the gates of the Western music establishment. For decades, the Billboard charts, specifically the Hot 100, the Global 200, and the Global XCL, US were seen as the ultimate proving ground, a fortress that often felt impenetrable to artists outside the traditional Anglo-American pop machine. But then came jeon Jungkook. The record we are uncovering at number 3 is nothing short of a statistical miracle. Jungkook became the first Asian solo artist in history to debut at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the Global 200, and the Global XCL US charts simultaneously with his masterpiece, 7. To the average listener, this might just sound like a lot of number 1s, but in the world of music data and industry politics, this is equivalent to winning the Triple Crown of horse racing while running against Ferraris. The Billboard Hot 100 is the Holy Grail, a chart that measures the most popular songs in the United States through a complex, often grueling mix of streaming, radio airplay, and sales. For a solo artist from South Korea to walk into that arena and claim the throne on day 1 is a feat that legends dream of, but rarely achieve. But Jungkook didn't stop at the US border. By dominating the Global 200 and the Global XCL, US charts at the same time, he sent a loud, clear message to the world. His influence isn't localized, it is universal. This wasn't just a win for K-pop, it was the moment the term K-pop began to feel too small for him. He was no longer just a Korean idol, he was the main pop boy of the planet. Think about the emotional gravity of that moment. For years, skeptics argued that BTS's success was solely due to the power of a collective group, but with 7, Jungkook stood alone in the center of the ring and delivered a knockout blow to every doubt. The narrative behind this record is one of intense perfectionism. Reports from the recording booth describe a man who would record a single line dozens of times, obsessing over the texture of a breath or the clarity of a vowel until it met his golden standard. This record is impossible because the music industry is currently in an era of hypersaturation. Usually, when a song dominates the US, it might lag globally, or vice versa, due to different cultural tastes. But Jungkook's sound, a seamless blend of 2000s nostalgia and futuristic pop, acted like a skeleton key that unlocked every door simultaneously. He wasn't just competing with his contemporaries, he was competing with the history of pop music itself. When the news broke, the internet didn't just celebrate, it exploded. The Jungkook effect became a case study for marketing experts and musicologists. How does one person command the attention of a teenager in Ohio, a salaryman in Tokyo, and a student in Paris all at once? It's a level of magnetic resonance that defies common logic. This record represents the breaking of a glass ceiling that had stood for generations. It tells the story of a boy who once looked at the Billboard charts from a small practice room in Seoul, wondering if he would ever even see his name there, only to eventually look down from the very top. This achievement is a reflection of a career built on sweat, tears, and a relentless pursuit of excellence, a phrase that is often used but rarely personified as clearly as it is here. As we analyze the data, we see that the gap between him and the number 2 spot was often massive, showing that this wasn't just a close race, it was a landslide. The permanence of this record lies in the simultaneous nature of it. To debut at the top of all 3 major charts at the exact same time requires a level of concentrated global energy that is almost impossible to replicate in the fragmented world of modern streaming. It required the perfect song, the perfect artist, and a global community that was ready to move mountains. Every time we look at the Billboard archives, his name will be there as the pioneer who showed that the center of the music world had shifted. It's a record that feels like a mountain peak visible to everyone, but reachable by almost no one else. Does this make you wonder about the sheer scale of his ambition? How do you even wake up the next day after you've conquered the 3 biggest charts in existence? For Jungkook, it seems the answer was simple. You keep going. This isn't just a record of popularity, it's a record of a cultural shift that he single-handedly accelerated. As we move deeper into this list, the feats only get more surreal, more impossible. Can you feel the momentum building? If number 3 was a global takeover, what could possibly be waiting for us in the top 2 spots? Are you prepared to witness the moments where jeon Jungkook didn't just break records, but actually change the rules of the game forever? Let's keep going, because the air is getting even more electric. Number 2. The Spotify Titan, the 10 billion stream sovereign, an eternal legacy of data. Stop for a moment and try to grasp a number so large it feels more like an astronomical distance than a musical statistic. 10 billion. That's 10 billion. As of November 2025, jeon Jungkook officially became the first K-pop solo artist in history to cross the 10 billion stream threshold on Spotify across all credits. Let that sink in. To reach this impossible milestone, Jungkook didn't just have one hit. He built an entire ecosystem of global dominance that stayed active every second of every day for years. While many artists struggle to keep their debut momentum alive, Jungkook's numbers only accelerated, proving that he isn't just a moment in pop culture, he is the new permanent foundation of it. This record is particularly mind-blowing because he achieved it with a relatively compact solo discography compared to Western titans who have been releasing music for decades. We are talking about the combined power of his solo album Golden, which itself became a streaming juggernaut with over 6.4 billion streams and global smash hits like 7, Standing Next to You, 3D, and his legendary collaboration with Charlie Puth, Left and Right. Each of these tracks didn't just pass through the charts, they took up permanent residence there. 7 alone has surpassed 2.6 billion streams, making it the first song by an Asian act to ever reach such a height, and it continues to pull in millions of plays daily, even years after its release. This level of long-tail success is what makes this record so impossible to break. It's not just about a big debut week, it's about a global audience that refuses to stop listening. Think about the emotional journey behind these 10 billion streams. This is the sound of a boy who used to practice his dance moves in a cramped basement, now being heard in every corner of the planet simultaneously. Every stream represents a person, someone working out in Brazil, someone commuting in London, someone studying in Tokyo, all connected by the timbre of one voice. The data shows that Jungkook's streaming velocity actually increased after he began his military service, a phenomenon that defies every traditional rule of the industry which says, out of sight, out of mind. Instead, his absence only made the world crave his music more, turning his Spotify profile into a global shrine of pop excellence. Critics often look for the secret sauce, but the reality is a mix of relentless vocal evolution and a personality that feels like a best friend to millions. By the time 2026 rolled around, he had already set a pace that most artists wouldn't reach in a lifetime. This 10 to billion mark is a wall of gold that separates the superstars from the legends. It's a record that requires not just a fandom, but a true crossover into the general public's daily life. When you realize that he has 4 different songs that have each crossed the 1 to billion stream mark the most for any K-pop soloist, you start to understand the sheer scale of this impossible reign. He has effectively redefined what success looks like for an Asian artist in the digital age, proving that language and origin are no longer barriers when the talent is this undeniable. Can you even imagine the pressure of knowing that your voice is being played 10 billion times? Does it make you wonder what the limit actually is for someone who seems to have no ceiling? As we stand at the edge of the final point on our list, we have to recognize that number 2 isn't just a rank, it's a testament to a man who conquered the world's largest music platform and made it his own. And if 10 billion streams is only number 2, what could possibly be the number 1 impossible record that sits at the very peak of this golden mountain? Are you ready to face the ultimate milestone that may truly never be touched again as long as music exists? Number 1. The sovereign of the record books. The unbeatable Guinness Titan. The absolute perfectionist's eternal throne. If we are talking about the pinnacle of all summits, about a record that is not just a mere number on paper but a manifestation of almost absurd dedication, then we must talk about how jeon Jungkook has patented his name in the world history books forever. In this first ranking, we are not only discussing one song or one album, but rather the phenomenon of the record factory, which makes organizations as big as Guinness World Records have to constantly update their databases just to catch up with the speed of a Jungkook. A record that is considered impossible and that will probably never be broken forever is his status as the Asian soloist with the most number of Guinness World Records in the shortest time, including the most astonishing achievement, being the only artist on the planet who managed to reach 100 million streams on each original song on his Spotify profile without exception. Imagine the mental stress and quality standards that must be maintained so that not a single piece that is considered a filler or B-side is forgotten. In a modern music industry dominated by skip culture and audience attention that lasts only a few seconds, Jungkook managed to create a discography that is immune to failure. Every breath he took on the record, every high note he reached with surgical precision has been recognized by Guinness World Records, not just as a commercial success, but as a historical anomaly. From Seven's record of being the fastest song to reach 1 billion streams, to his dominance in the MENA, Middle East and North Africa, charts as the first and only Asian soloist to top the charts multiple times, Jungkook has built a fortress of achievement whose doors are locked tight for anyone trying to match him. Let's take a step back in time to understand the emotional burden behind this record. We're talking about a boy from Busan who at the age of 15 had to shoulder the expectations of a small agency, a teenager who was so shy that he could barely sing in front of others. But now, he is the man who holds the golden key to global music history. These records aren't just about instant popularity, they're about legacy. Why is this impossible to solve? Because to achieve what Jungkook does, an artist not only needs talent, but also must have the right cultural moment, the support of the most loyal fandom in the world, the army, and self-discipline bordering on obsession. Many artists can have a single hit that explodes, but having a whole song that surpasses the 100 million to billion stream mark is proof that every Jungkook piece is a historical event. Until this year 2026, as he prepares to return to the stage after his military service, the numbers show no signs of slowing down. Instead, they continue to multiply, as if the world were longing for the heartbeat of the music he created. The emotional reflection of this achievement leads us to one electrifying conclusion. Jungkook has surpassed the K-pop label and has entered the ranks of global pop royalty, alongside names like Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley in terms of historical impact. Guinness World Records noted that Jungkook had accumulated so many world record certificates as a soloist, even before his first full-length album was officially released, a pace never seen in modern music history since digital platforms were invented. It is about the power of an individual who is able to move the global economy, change the course of world music trends from UK garage to modern R&B, and remain humble amid a deafening storm of praise. Every record he breaks is a message to future generations that the limits are only in the mind, and that a young man from South Korea can become the center of the universe of world music. Is it possible that there would be another artist who could have such evenly distributed streaming averages across their songs without a single one failing? Will there ever be another soloist who can sweep the Billboard and Guinness charts at the same time when the world is experiencing such a severe fragmentation of musical tastes? The answer is almost certain, no. Jungkook is a glitch in the matrix of the music industry, an exception that appears only once in a century. Its success is a blend of modern streaming technology that is at its peak and human charisma that is at its highest point. As we look at his growing list of world records, we realize that we are not merely looking at statistics, but are witnessing history written in golden ink by the hand of a golden matinee. He is living proof that if you give your all to your art, the universe and the world record books will come to their knees before you. This is the permanent throne for Jeon Jungkook, the master of impossible numbers who makes the world fall silent every time he opens his voice. These records will never be forgotten because they are not just about who is the fastest or who is the most, but rather about who is the most loved by millions of souls in all corners of the earth. And there, at the top of a mountain of achievement shrouded in a mist of wonder, Jungkook stood alone, looking toward the future he had shaped with his own hands, leaving footprints too big for anyone to follow.